Tonight I want to introduce the Evergreen Wellness Team, which is made up of our counselors, therapists, and social workers. Wellness Team, I'm proud to introduce you to the Evergreen Board of Trustees and our community. First, we'll hear from our district social workers, Brittany and Cynthia.
We are assigned to 9 schools each within the district. As social workers, we are here to help reduce barriers to education for students and their families. This academic year, we have served more than 350 students and their families, and we provided educational events to over 650 students and parents. After shelter in place, we contacted all student families that were on our caseload. We also provided parents of 65 students in social skills groups with daily learning activities. We surveyed 41 families already identified as facing housing insecurity. Based on our survey, school supplies and 15 hygiene kits were distributed. When a charging station at Catherine Smith was opened, we notified families who may not be able to charge their devices due to their current housing situation. We know there are more families in need and that this number will increase. We contacted families of the 18 students in foster placements to make sure they were ready to participate in distance learning. We compiled a list of community COVID-19 resources, which can be found on our district website.
We are continuing to respond to families in crisis, connecting them to resources including emergency housing, food banks and food distribution centers, domestic violence crisis centers, and mental health agencies. Once distance learning began, we supported principals in contacting students who were not participating in distance learning. Our 3 school social work interns had to stop working when shelter in place started, so Brittany and I ensured that we contacted the 20 students and families on the interns' caseloads. And I created a Google Classroom and moved my counseling with students to telehealth. With the school counselors, we are writing lesson plans for teachers to help them address their students' social emotional needs around COVID-19. And we're continuing to develop the grief crisis response plans that we started last year.
Thank you, Brittany and Cynthia. Maher, can you tell us how you support our students with IEPs?
I have 25 students who have been referred for social, emotional, and behavioral support by school psychologists and their CC teachers. After this IEP took place, I have been able to provide the needed services to my students through weekly Zoom meetings. I have provided extra support to parents and families. I continue to stay in touch with all my students, teachers, by providing them resources, materials on different strategies and coping skills. And lastly, I have successfully been able to take part in my students' virtual IEP transition meetings to make sure each one of them get appropriate services while transitioning from elementary to middle and middle to high school.
Vic, how have our MFT interns been helping kids cope with the shelter in place?
The ripple effects of the pandemic and current social unrest have added to our clients' daily difficulties with learning and relating. Weekly therapy sessions through phone and video conferencing provided social, emotional support, coping tools, and most importantly, a safe, consistent healing presence and relationship for children who struggle with depression, anxiety, and overwhelming stressors. Our multilingual clinicians provided translation to facilitate collaboration with parents. Our team innovated and adapted in-person therapy tools to help kids through weekly sessions. Thank you.
Beatrice, can you tell us more about what our middle school counselors have been doing?
All 3 school counselors at the 3 middle schools have aligned our counseling program so we serve all students in a similar way. We have set up online referral platforms where students are able to set up appointments to check in with us. We can check in with students via phone, Google Meets, or email conversations. We've adapted our weekly groups and meetups with students and created digital meetings, including space to discuss recent events, specifically COVID-19, discussions on race, equity, equality, protesting, and more. Between all middle schools, we have connected with over 350 students using self, parent, teacher referrals during shelter in place.
We have created counseling social media accounts that are focused on providing information, positivity, and connection to our students. We have created a series of videos on mental health topics in honor of May being Mental Health Awareness Month. The series can be found on the Evergreen Wellness YouTube page. The counselors have their own Google Classrooms where resources and links are provided to all students.
Counselors have been co-creating weekly advisory lessons focusing on social emotional learning. We have taken PBIS with us into the digital world by making distance learning matrices, and we have created appropriate lessons that identify ways to help our schools continue to recognize positive behavior. Since shelter in place, we have given almost 1,000 behavior recognition awards to middle school students. Lastly, we have worked alongside our administration team to help identify students who have not been involved in distance learning and re-engage them.
How can we address the unrest in the country right now?
Our job is to support students and families. Last week, we sent out an article to families expressing our sadness about recent events and providing resources to families to help them have productive conversations with their children about racism. One of the resources was a children's book list. The other resources were articles and toolkits about how to talk to kids about racism. They included points like making the topic relatable to the child and keeping the conversation ongoing. So where do we go from here? Besides offering our students space to understand and process their feelings and helping families talk openly about racism, what else can we do? As a school district, we have a huge platform, so we should show support and solidarity with anti-racism movements like Black Lives Matter. We will follow up with resources on how to respond to racism and what to do to help anti-racist causes. In the classroom, Middle School Advisory Time provides an opportunity to address the issues of racial inequality among all students of color and empower students to be part of the solution with activities such as letter writing campaigns. Additionally, in the fall, we will provide extra training for staff around trauma-informed care and equity.
The Evergreen Wellness Team has accomplished so many positive things in such a short period of time and under such incredibly stressful and unprecedented circumstances. Our team continues to respond to events that impact our students.
Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.